This is what I know. We're all connected to one another, the earth and all her inhabitants. We thrive on these connections, real ones that touch our soul, fill our heart, and invigorate our mind. I have been so fortunate to experience this all my life, meeting extraordinary, ordinary folks who inspire and provoke. My name is Khadija Mhesen. Welcome to Adventures of the Soul Conversations. My hope is that they will fill your cup as they have filled mine.
It was so painful that I couldn't breathe. And then my heart was literally crumbling into pieces. I felt it falling apart. But it's a pain that is huge. It's indescribable. It is true. Why is it every parent's nightmare? Because
every
it is
human's nightmare.
Exactly. Because it is the biggest pain. You're dealing with this, all of a sudden something is there and then it's not. It is a pain of the soul, so you must approach it from the soul point of view. I felt that a great love, like the love that I have and I had for my daughter, cannot be reduced to tears. How sad. Now, it's not pain that comes out. The strangest thing that happened is that there was a transformation. Now it's joy that comes out. When I think about Sophia, I have nothing but gratefulness. All of a sudden, this huge pain for 3 years is beginning to transform into gratefulness. Women are the backbone of the family in many aspects.
Tell me, you told me that at some point, there was a point where you felt so blessed to have been chosen by Sophia for that time for her on earth.
Yes.
Tell me about that. And when did you come to that?
Well, actually, it happened even before she died, when she was little. I remember reading a book that really hit me on the fact that we choose our parents, we choose our situation in life in order to have certain experiences. So my daughter was very small, and I said, by the way, thank you, Sophia, for choosing me to be your mother. She looked at me, she was 3, and she said,
You crazy?
No, she said, oh, but I didn't come for you, I came for Alex.
Really?
And I was like, what? That was funny.
She came
Now that I think about it.
For her brother.
Yeah. So, because of course this experience is as huge as it is for me, as it is for him, and as it is for my husband.
Wow.
But no, I am very grateful. I am extremely grateful that she chose me, that my son chose me to be a mother. And every day I try to be the best that I can, with all my flaws and all my everything, you know. She was a gift.
So what now? You're nearing the 3rd anniversary.
Yeah.
Maybe right about the time this comes out. Yeah.
In 1 month.
So tell me, what now? I mean, you're we had a chance encounter in the street.
Yes.
And it was really, so powerful. Just seeing your face and seeing there's no gray in your eyes and there's no sadness on your face. It's just this light and this joy, and I can see the celebration.
Now, every day I have to challenge myself to choose love. Because every day I could choose grief.
It's still there.
It's still
the
there.
Same rawness. And
it's still there.
So that woman was right in her letter. Never goes away. The pain.
Yeah. The pain does not go away. The loss, the missing. There's never going to be a day that we do something and I don't think, wow, Sophia should have been there.
Really?
She would have enjoyed it.
Every minute of every day?
Not every minute, but in the important things, like we just went on a trip to Italy, we went to Umbria, and I was like, oh my God, she would have enjoyed this so much. It never leaves you. But it's not sad. Besides the fact that there's a part of me that thinks that no matter what, she's with us in a different way. but she's with us. I do believe 100%. I believe now more than ever that we're not alone. There are worlds, and the soul doesn't die.
Do you think about why she chose you? Does it come to you now? Why me? And
I am thinking, I'm working at it.
it's there.
It has definitely something to do with my understanding. See, I've had a mother completely different than me. There was no love in my upbringing, especially from my mother. My mother had her own demons. So not having been loved and accepted, to all of a sudden being told by a nurse on the phone that it's a girl was pivotal for me. Because now everything that was done to me, I had the chance to truly close the circle by behaving differently with my daughter. And I knew this when I was 12. The strange thing is when certain things happen in my life, and I remember standing up 12 years old and saying, this stops with me, because there's generations of women not loving their daughters. And I said, this stops with me, and we'll only have children from love. That's why my life is so weird, you know. Married someone from a different religion, different country, different everything. That on the surface seems that we don't have anything in common. But no, number one thing, more important, love. So when the nurse said, do you want to know the sex? And she said, it's a little girl. For me, I started crying. I knew it was karmic. I knew now it was my time to step up to the plate. And what am I going to do with it?
And to end this.
Yes. And I loved her like I never loved anything in my life. And even my son, he knows. It's not that I loved her more than him. The love is the same. But there is something karmic about her. Because the problem in my family generations was woman to woman. There wasn't a woman to man to heal, but a woman to woman to heal. And I felt it. And the funny thing, when she told me it's a girl, I fell on my knees crying. When she died, and I knew, I fell on my knees crying. It's only those 2 times in my life when this happened.
Did you think of the moment she was born? And did you remember that? Are you making those connections now, or?
I made this connection recently. There is something, though, that happened that night that I don't know quite how to explain. I felt it so strange. As I was looking at her being dead on her bed, I felt in my body, and this is going to sound very strange, I didn't take an epidural when she was born. I felt in my body as if I was going through, inch by inch, her birth. And I kept saying, why is this happening to me? What does that have to do with it? Yet I kept feeling the memory and thinking about it as if it was going through the canal. And I was like, what does that have to do with it? Later I made my reasoning, because this was so strong, that probably it echoed with another tunnel she was passing. The tunnel of life and the tunnel of death. That I made my own explanation. I don't know if it's true, but this is how I explained it to myself.
And with that, she has taken with her this whole suffering and pain that ran through the bloodline of your mother and her mother.
I believe this probably has a lot to do with it. And maybe, I'm not saying this is why she died at all, because I have no idea. But there was definitely a healing. And this closing of the circle was that I realized at one point I was grateful for my mother treating me the way she treated me.
Why?
Because if it wasn't for that brutal treatment,
the pain.
that where she, every time I put my head up, she was like, ta! down again, down. I'm not going to get into those stories because it's a whole different story. But it was brutal. And then she abandoned me several times. She did all kinds of stuff. So she's a soul that has her own things to deal with. But I realized, because you just said something about choosing your own mother.
Her.
And I would always say, why would I choose something like this? It was the worst possible person I could have chosen. But then I understood. It was like going to the gym.
She was preparing.
It was preparing me to be able to face the worst pain that I could have faced. And I even though now it's 8 years that I don't have real contact with my mother, we don't really have conversations.
Did she,
she's alive.
But did she talk to you after Sophia passed away? Like, was there?
Yeah, she did. She called me, but really stopped there. I went to see her because I knew she wouldn't have understood. But from my soul point of view,
You
I needed to say it. And I went to her and I said, by the way, I came because I wanted to thank you. I wanted to thank you because you were my best teacher. Because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have had the strength to face the way I did the death of my daughter. And she was like, I knew she didn't understand. But it didn't matter. I believe that from a soul-to-soul point of view, maybe even her soul understands. Maybe her mind doesn't understand, but that's okay. I felt like it needed to be said.
Wow. Ursula, if somebody here now is listening to us who's grieving, loss of a child, a parent, a spouse, what would you tell them to do right now, to do tonight, to do tomorrow morning?
It's not an easy thing because there is no specific formula. I can only say what worked for me.
Yes.
And for me, it was that constant thought in the memory and in the honoring of that person, whoever it may be. Do not just focus on the pain. The pain has to be there. It's a natural process. You have to go through it. You have to walk through it, like walking on coal. You cannot go around it because it'll come up another way.
You have to feel it.
You have to go through it. But keep in mind, let the love for that person be your goal, not the loss. It's like the glass half full or half empty.
But that's what I think when you're talking about this makes me feel like that's the shift of perspective.
Yeah.
That's how you shift to celebration versus loss.
Exactly.
And you move it outside yourself.
Yes. Think about it. What if you never had that person? You wouldn't have this pain, but also you wouldn't have had any of the joy, any of the sharing. So there is plenty to be grateful for, to celebrate. Is it painful? Damn right, it's painful. It's very painful, but you can do it.
You have to feel it.
Because I do believe nothing happens to you that you cannot handle. If you don't go just in your mind, remember that intelligence, that love that you have inside, which for me is your divine being, will always guide you. And when you don't know what to do, pray and ask for guidance.
Surrender.
Surrender. I don't know what to do.
You know,
it's okay.
I had a moment in my life that I know exactly what you're talking about. That feeling of complete. It's so overwhelming that you have no choice but to surrender.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you die.
Exactly. Which is a choice too.
That's a choice.
Yeah.
Do you think Sophia had a choice?
Strange thing is that Sophia knew.
She knew.
She knew.
You knew, and your husband knew.
Well, but I never wanted to become fully aware of it.
How did Sophia know?
I realized that she left. See, her room was her canvas. So she left. She would paint the walls everywhere. She would paint the walls. Later, when I went into the room one time and I sat on the floor crying, you know. In fact, I was on her bed and I was just saying to myself, why did you have to go? Why did you have to go? And I raised my eyes and I saw under her desk, she left a painting of waves. And I read on top of it, waves never die, baby.
Oh my God.
Right then in that moment, I was like, what? And then I started looking at the room in a different way. I was like, what if all that is in here is a message for me and my husband and my son? And I realized that was true. Just a few days after I had this thought, the teachers from her school, they brought back the art pieces she did. She had won an award.
Oh, she was
in
an artist.
Maastricht. Yes.
Yeah.
And they brought back a painting, unfinished painting. And when I looked at it, I said, what is this? Well, that's a painting that was supposed to be a self-portrait. I said, well, yeah, I'm sure, because I doubt that in the school they would allow them to paint a... She painted herself in the lotus position, which for anybody, people that don't know, it's cross-legged, like the Kali goddess with more arms, fully naked, although you don't see anything. She has on her upper hand the watch. On the lower hand, she has the earth with the trees. On the other hand, she has dices being rolled, and on the lower head, Om. She was obsessed with the Om sign. And all these days after her death, I kept asking myself,
what does it
because
mean?
I had seen sign, so is it all written? Is it all written? Is time on earth written for us, or is it decided by faith? And here they bring me back this painting where she has time, the clock, on earth, the dice, chance, or God with the Om. She cannot see it. Her eyes are, she erased her eyes. And underneath her, there's a huge eye that sees all. So I was like, she knew. She knew.
Where is this painting?
In my house. I'll show you a picture later.
Do you look at it?
Yes,
All the
I
time?
framed it.
You framed it.
I framed it. She left a lot of paintings that I realized they're full of meanings for us. So I have this strong feeling that her soul, not her mind obviously, but deep in her soul, she had an awareness that her time on earth was short. She even told, actually, it was told to me by a couple of friends. They don't know each other because, you know, we lived all over the world. So two people that don't know each other told me that she had said, I don't think I'm gonna live long. And somebody even said, like, die? Like how? I don't know, maybe a car accident.
Wow.
And to tell you the truth, the thing that scared her the most was to be on a cliff where the car could roll down, since she was little. And she died.
That's how she died?
Falling on a cliff with a car rolling down. So, and I don't have the answer yet, but all these questions are in my mind. So is it all set for us? And all that is left to us, the script is written. What is up to you is how well you want to act your part like an actor. Or is it all chance?
Do you believe it's chance?
Nowadays, no.
You don't?
I don't. But life is what you make of it.
Of course.
Your will.
Are you in touch with the mother of Shadi?
No.
Why?
I tried several times to contact them. I thought that it would be a very good idea to grieve together.
Yeah.
And we did go to their funeral. It was happening in the same days. We left our Aza, you call it, to go to their funeral, and we hugged and we kissed, and we knew 100% what they were feeling, and they knew what we were feeling. But somehow then we didn't connect.
So you don't know how she's doing or what's...
No, I don't know. I know she moved away, but I don't know. I don't know. You can only try, but then everybody has the power to choose if they want to be with you and talk about it, or not be with you and never mention it, you know? Grief is very personal, very, very personal.
You're going to write about this, right?
Actually, I started writing notes for me to go through my own healing.
And you're going to share them?
I don't know. I'm not a writer, so I'm very shy.
So as I'm talking
I
to
will
you,
send you what I
yes,
wrote.
and as I'm talking to you, I'm visualizing the fig pie on the cover.
Actually, I have a picture, which is a picture that I found in my daughter's phone of her face, and it's just her face with a flower, huge flower in her mouth. And I always look at the picture like, through you, I have to find that flower. Let that flower be born on the pain.
Celebrate life.
And that, yeah.
Wow, Ursula, thank you so much. To be continued.
Thank you. I don't talk about these things often.
It's very, very healing, and there's a sadness with this joyful sadness, because it just uncovers, just like you opened your heart and you let out the pain. It just helps me, and I hope it will help whoever watches and listens.
I hope so.
To begin to allow this other world that we're terrified of.
Yes.
To begin to even contemplate.
I really feel now, like I told you, I was afraid before about death. Now I'm not afraid. I don't want to suffer, but I'm not afraid of death. I think it's the best part of our life. And I came to the realization recently that the most important time of our life is right before we die. Whatever we have achieved, right then. Because then you go and you cross and you take that with you.
And then I guess what is the blessing is whatever knowledge and wisdom you gain at that moment before you die is to be aware of that as you live. Yeah. And I think this is where you are now. Maybe you don't know what it is, what lessons there are, but to be aware that there's a moment that's coming, that everything is going to be clear, and there's something way beyond you, way beyond.
Exactly. This is what I got out of this. There's something much bigger than me. We're not alone.
We're not alone. Thank you.
Thank you.